I'm using natural daylight, so the lighting might change drastically throughout this video. I couldn't be bothered to set up my lights. Hi guys, today I'm going to talk about what I read in February. I read a whole lot of books. I read 13 books and I also DNF'd a book. I had a great reading month. I don't think I've ever read that many books in 1 month. Ironically enough, it wasn't the shortest month. I don't know how, but it happened and I'm very pleased with myself. As I did last month, I'm gonna list all the books that I read along with the ratings and then just talk about a few books that I actually have something to say about. I will leave links for all the books down below in the description box in case you want to read up what a book is about, because I'm not gonna get into what every book is about, and I'll also have some Goodreads reviews linked down below because I've been really good at leaving longer reviews on Goodreads. So definitely check out the description box. And now I will list all the books that I read from my least favorite to my favorite. Actually, I'm gonna talk about my DNF first. So the book I did not finish. Unfortunately enough, it was a review book and I wasn't sure if I should DNF it because I did request to read it on NetGalley, but I couldn't get into it. The book I'm talking about is The Bone Witch by Rin Chupeco. This is a fantasy book about witches. The main character, her name is T-E-A, not sure how else you would pronounce it. She brought her dead brother back to life, and that's all I've gathered. It was very confusing. I didn't really like the writing. I couldn't get into the story. It wasn't my kind of book. I DNF'd it at 16%, I think. Now into the books that I've actually read. The One Memory of Flora by Emily Barr, and I gave this 1 star. Grace in Style by Grace Helbig, I gave this 2.5 stars. We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. I listened to the audiobook of this and I gave it 3 stars. The Melody of You and Me by Maria Hollis, I gave this 3.5 stars. Cress by Marissa Mayer, which I also gave 3.5 stars. Act Like It by Lucy Parker, I gave this 4 stars. Infamy by Krista and Becca Ritchie, I also gave this 4 stars. The Mistake and The Score by Elle Kennedy, also both 4 stars. Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna McGuire, also 4 stars. Every Hard Doorway, also by Shauna McGuire. This was a reread and I kept my rating at 4.5 stars. If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo, I gave this 4.5 stars. And lastly, We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. I also listened to the audiobook and I gave this 5 stars. So it was a very interesting reading month. First up, I'm gonna get into my 1-star rating, which was The One Memory of Flora Banks. This was also a book that I requested for a review and I struggled. I think I talked a bit about this in my January reads, because I was still reading it then. I mean, you could probably tell from my 1-star rating, but I really did not like this book. Basically, it's about Flora who has amnesia. She's had it since the age of 10 because of an accident. She can't form new memories, and then one day she kisses her best friend's boyfriend, and that's the thing she remembers, and she goes on this huge adventure. I wrote quite a lengthy Goodreads review, so that will be linked down below. The things I did not like about this book were, first off, the romance. It made me super uncomfortable because it was her best friend's boyfriend. It's hard to talk about this, but because there is this whole plot twist at the end, and there are some redeemable aspects at the end, but nonetheless, the whole thing made me so uncomfortable when I was reading it, so I didn't enjoy it. And also, in my opinion, it romanticized her healing process, I guess you would call it. Also didn't like the characters or the writing. It was so repetitive because obviously she keeps on remembering the same things over and over. I wrote this in my review, but after the 10th, I kissed a boy on a beach. I was so done with it. I didn't like it. Next, I'm gonna talk about Cress by Marissa Mayer. This is book 3 in the Lunar Chronicles, and I buddy read this with Nock and Nabila. This book in the series is most people's favorite, but so far it's been my least favorite, and it probably will stay my least favorite in the series. I think I just had way too high expectations of this book because people kept telling me this is their favorite book and Cress and Thorn are their favorite ship. I didn't like it. Unfortunately, it made me so sad because I was so excited for Cress and Thorn. Thorn is one of my favorite characters. and I thought I was gonna love his interactions with Cress, but Cress turned out to be such a different character than I expected. I didn't read the back of this book, so I didn't realize she was gonna be a damsel in distress, and I did not like that. I thought she was gonna be this very stubborn, headstrong character and like have some banter with Thorn. That was what I was really hoping for. I wanted banter between the two, but her idolizing him really put me off because it made for such a weird dynamic between the two. I loved Cress as an individual character. When she wasn't with Thorn, I really enjoyed her chapters. Also, Jason, is that how you pronounce his name? I've been really enjoying him, which made me really excited for winter, but unfortunately Cress was a huge letdown for me. I still gave it 3.5 stars because I liked where things were heading, and I did like Cress as a character, but just not her with Thorn. Next I'm gonna talk about The Mistake and The Score by Elle Kennedy. These are books 2 and 3 of a new adult series called Off Campus, and I read the first one at the beginning of last year, really enjoyed it, so I was really excited to read these other books, and they did not disappoint. I've been saying on Twitter that this is a really great new adult series. It's not as cliche as most new adult books. It's just little things in these books that make them great, in my opinion. For example, in this third book, there's this paragraph of the guy saying how you shouldn't slut shame people and sex can be casual, like that sort of thing. I gave both of these 4 stars. I still think that the first one, I think I gave it 5 stars, is still my favorite. Between these two, I think I enjoyed the third one, The Score, a lot better, just because there was so much great banter between the two main characters. It was hilarious. I laughed so much. I loved it. I'm doing a lot with my hands today. I don't have any books to hold. Now let's talk about Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna McGuire. I was lucky enough to receive an arc of this. I still can't believe I did. In my ongoing series video, I talked about how publishers wouldn't send anything to Germany, and then I realized I hadn't messaged Tor.com. So I did, and pretty quickly I received an answer, and then not even a week later, this book was in my house, and I couldn't believe it, and I still can't believe it. Just a huge thank you again to Tor.com for giving me the opportunity to review this book. I'm actually not going to talk too much about this yet because it comes out in June, and I plan to do a separate review video once we're closer to the release date. But for now, I will say this did not disappoint. I gave this 4 stars. I didn't love it as much as Every Heart a Doorway because there was a character in the first book, Every Heart a Doorway, that I just connected to a lot more than the ones in here. But this was still fantastic. I enjoyed it so much. It was really interesting to find out more about the world we're in this book. The writing is just so magical and whimsical. This book is basically a huge fuck you to gender roles, and I loved it. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say now. I'm still so happy. Lastly, I will talk about my favorite book of the month, We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. Oh my god. I'd heard Lala from Books and Lala talk about this book. I think it was her favorite book of last year. So I was already kind of interested in reading it, and then I randomly decided to listen to the audiobook, and I am so glad I did. This book was incredible. I'm still not over it. This is about, oh, what was his name? I want to say Henry, but there's also a character named Henry in a book I'm currently reading, so I might get that mixed up. Let me check. Henry! Oh, I got it right. Okay, so this book is about Henry. For a few years, he's been abducted by aliens. From time to time, they'll abduct him, do some tests, and then leave him back on Earth. And this is a known thing in his town, and he's known as Space Boy, and he's kind of bullied by some people. He's also still dealing with the death of his boyfriend, the suicide of his boyfriend, actually. So that's pretty difficult for him. And it was just so good. I keep saying it's just so good, but it was incredible. It touched me in a way I did not think it would. I've started listening to audiobooks in my car, and this book made me cry several times while I was on my way to work, which wasn't the greatest thing, but I couldn't stop listening to it. This book made me cry, it made me laugh, I got so much out of it. There was this one quote that really touched me. It was something along the lines of, the good things are supposed to outweigh the bad things in life. What I'd also like to mention is that Henry, our main character, is gay, and I'm pretty sure the author, Sean David Hutchinson, is also gay, so this makes it own voices. I know I've said this like 10 times already, but it was incredible. Please go read this book. Also, the narrator of the audiobook did a fantastic job. I really enjoyed it. So that was my reading of February. Like I said, for the books I haven't talked about more in depth, there are a few that I left Goodreads reviews for, so those will be linked down below. Let me just shortly mention what I'm currently reading. For one, I am reading Winter by Marissa Mayer, the fourth and last book in the Lunar Chronicles. Once again, a buddy read with Nabila and Nock. I am 150 pages into this. This is 800 pages. It is massive. So far, I am enjoying this a lot more than I enjoyed Cress. I love Winter and Jason. I adore Kai and Cinder. Oh, I love them so much. What else am I reading? Oh, I'm also listening to the audiobook of Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray, book 2 in the Diviner series. And I am all over this book. I love it so much because there's fake dating in this book. It has made me scream in my car. Once again, listening to it on my way to work. I was in my car screaming because I was loving it so much. Yeah, I'm about halfway through that one right now. That's everything I have to talk about today, which is great because the sun is slowly fading. Tell me down below your favorite read of the month. I would love to know. And that was it for this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!